Okay, so what comes in the kit? First of all, you're going to get a magnetic base and a power adapter. This is a US power adapter. It is variable voltage, so it's compatible with all voltages across the globe. You only will need a travel plug adapter if you are overseas or not from the US. You'll need a travel plug adapter that fits your power outlet, but the adapter itself is variable voltage all the way up to 240 volts, so it should be fine for whatever. So you'll need that, and you will get a ball that is sanded and prepped and ready to start. Okay. You will also receive in the kit 4 different pieces of my 3D printed parts. These files were made and modeled by hand by me using caliper measurements of the real vintage model parts that were used on the real one. They are as close as I can possibly get them to the real thing. I have made slight adjustments to them over the past 12 months or so making these. Anytime I find a slight variation or something that was subtly off, I would go in and meticulously try to tweak it and then reprint it and take a picture of it assembled and line it up with the screen use prop and make sure that it was 100% accurate. So I did my absolute best on these. I'm very proud of these. I haven't made any changes to them in a while because I haven't needed to. Externally they look accurate, but on the inside and on the undersides they are different. So these are not exact copies of the actual model parts. Externally they look correct, but they were designed to work with my kits. So you'll see some notches and cylinders and things cut on the inside of them that will allow them to snap together and be inserted into the sphere whenever you're ready. So you'll receive these 4 parts. Part 1 are the tank hatches, the gun ports, the hatch covers, the baffle areas. These are 2 parts of the custom jigs that will help you line everything up. We'll go into more detail on the tutorials, but I include custom jigs in every single one of them. The whole point of this thing is for you to be able to relax and build one of these things without ever having to touch a ruler or a tape measure or make any kind of mathematical calculation on a sphere, marking anything. You just line up the jig, put your part on. Line up the jig, put your part on, and it does it perfectly for you every time. All right, the next part is the hatch covers and some of the what I call the large wheels. You've got large wheels and small wheels. These go on the tops and bottoms. The tops are different pieces than on the bottoms. I've made all of the adjustments to which way to clock these little dots and which way to rotate each one. So all that will be covered in every step. The rims and the brackets that go around the equator. The other set of large wheels, I've got the horseshoe parts, which are very, very small and fragile, modeled onto them as a single part. So you just take off this one area with the horseshoe and attach it and you're done. And then the small wheels with the pegs. So these are your 3D printed model parts. These are all made with a resin printer, very high definition, very clean. Additionally, you will receive a vinyl decal sheet for the red rings and the crosshair sections that go on each laser assembly area, as well as a strip to go around the seam. This serves as 2 purposes. One is to it has dots cut out into it. That's what helps you line up your first pieces evenly spaced around the equator. Excuse me. The second part is if you want to leave that on, this actually covers up the seam quite well. Leaves a little bit of a border that you can still see, but it covers up the seam very nicely without having to do a whole bunch of work. Once you do these and you line them up and you get them ready to go, you can take them back off if you'd like and then use putty to fill the seam. I typically don't do that just because that little bit of allowance or change in accuracy or whatever you want to call it just lets me move on much quicker. It's the process is, 3 minutes versus 12 additional hours of sand, putty, sand, Bondo, prime, sand, Bondo, prime. So I have a little bit of a difference that I allow on mine to have that little bit of a seam there, but it's up to you. We'll go through that during the tutorial. You will also get a machine cut styrene sheet. This uses the exact same thickness of styrene that the original prop used. These are all pre-cut for you. This includes the half moons that go around the circles, the 3 sets of trapezoids, the rectangles that go around, the ring around the top and the bottom, and it also comes with the other parts of the custom jigs that help you line everything up. Again, that'll all be discussed in detail during the tutorial process. You will receive these machine cut light diffusers or light gels that will give it a screen accurate appearance of some gray material behind the truck rim lasers and the hatches, but will let the light shine through quite nicely. It's kind of a semi-translucent plastic material. And separately, if you want, I will also be selling decal sheets to customize your base. I don't know if you've seen some of these that have the hollow chest, the Dejarik table type decorations. Some people have like the Rebel logo or a Jedi symbol. A few other different options that I've done a couple times, but we'll sell those separately, but those won't be included standard, just because you can request kind of whatever you want. All right, so that's what's going to have in the kit. Pretty much everything that you need to build one. So what does it not include? Well, let's go over that real quick. So what you will need in order to build one of these is an X-Acto knife, a fine tip Sharpie or pin, a set of snips or tiny wire cutters. This is to help you release the support from the 3D printed parts without cracking them. Some of them can be kind of fragile. You will need a stepper bit and a drill. I would prefer it if you had a drill press. If you have a drill press, it just makes it so much easier to get those circles that you have to cut into the sphere perfectly lined up and get those holes centered every time. The slightest adjustment can throw everything off, slightest mistake, but the way I've got the guides, it pretty much makes it dummy proof, but you will need a stepper bit. That's how you get those perfectly round holes cut in, and they need to be perfectly positioned. I think I need a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 14 millimeter and a 20 millimeter. So you can get these on Amazon, very cheap, but that's what you'll need for cutting the holes. You'll need a pencil. You'll need a few paint pens. We'll go over the details on those. You need some super glue. You'll need some plastic modeler's putty. You'll need a measuring cup and some weathering washes. We'll go over the details on what those are, and a couple of brushes. Aside from that, and a hair dryer and a couple of cans of, maybe a can of spray paint and a can of primer, that's all you need. So if you can get a hold of this stuff and you feel comfortable using this, I guess the most expensive thing would be a drill press and a stepper bit. You can also just use a hand drill. You definitely need a stepper bit, but they're very cheap on Amazon. If you can get your hands on this stuff right here, this is all you need to make one of these remotes. The philosophy that I've kind of taken on building these, or that I want to take on doing the tutorials on this kit, is kind of what I would call a kind of a Bob Ross approach to these, where it's, you don't make mistakes, you make happy little accidents. The real prop looks like garbage in real life. It's very messy, it's very misaligned. It was done by hand. It's got pencil marks and paint and fingerprints and broken pieces all over it. If you follow my instructions and you make a mistake on every single one of them, it'll still look 100 times better than the real prop. So as we go along, and I take you through each step in the process, we're going to remind ourselves, we're going to repeat the Bob Ross mantra: there's no mistakes, just happy little accidents. Anything that you mess up is going to be covered by weathering. So I want this whole thing to be a non-stress approach, very fun, very relaxing process, and a fun kit to build that'll take you just a few days, a couple of days over a weekend, and then you'll end up with a very accurate, very wonderful floating, hovering Jedi training remote. So I'm very excited to get this going. I'm going to post an interest list just to see who all might want to take part in this kit. And we'll get it going. But thank you for your time. Again, to all those guys that participated in the run over the last year, thank you so much. You guys have been amazing. This was a blast to make these. I've enjoyed making every single one of them, and I look forward to making these kits for you guys as well if you're interested in them. Thanks, guys. Bye.